On this one, I'm going to be talking about some points that were made by Seth Godin. I'm sure you've heard me talk about him before, and if you're not familiar with Seth, I highly recommend that you check out his websites and his books. I've got a link to this particular blog post in the show notes. It's called 16 Questions for Free Agents. And as I looked over this list of questions that he had, I said, boy, these are some amazing, insightful questions that any creative entrepreneur, any artist, any creative person of any type should really ask themselves. These are definitely great questions to ask if you're on the verge of starting a new venture. But even if you've been at it for a while, even if you're making a living or doing something sideline, these are, no matter where you are on the creative journey, these are great questions to ask yourself. So let's just go over these questions. I'll give a few points, riff on them a little bit, and hopefully they'll give you some food for thought. So one of the first questions that he has here is, who are you trying to please? This is a great question to ask as you pursue this creative passion of yours. Who are you trying to please? Well, first, of course, I believe the first step that any creative person is trying to please themselves is something that you're passionate about, that you love doing. You lose track of time when you're immersed in this. So I guess number one would be you're trying to please yourself. But from a business standpoint, when revenue comes into play, who are you trying to please? And this was a question I actually asked and answered myself early on in my book publishing career, when I noticed that a lot of artists were out to try to please people in the industry. They were trying to please A&R people or radio station program directors, all these people as part of the machine of the industry. That's where a lot of the focus of a lot of artists' attention were on. And same thing with authors. They were trying to impress librarians and book reviewers and, publishers and editors at the big houses and all this stuff. But I did not take that approach. I decided that my real goal was to please the end user, the readers. And for my books, they were independent musicians. So that was a very important question or distinction that I made early in my book publishing career that really helped me focus. It steered the way that I marketed myself. It helped me determine that the internet was the best way to go directly to the end user, to bypass the middleman, which a lot of people are doing now. And so ask that question, who are you trying to please with this creative endeavor besides yourself? The second question that Seth asks is, are you trying to make a living, make a difference, or leave a legacy? Wow, that's a great question too, because there are different ways of answering that and of looking at it. My recommendation is that you should be focused and motivated to make a difference in some way. Focus on that. You can still have aspirations to make money and to make a living, but if you're sole focused, or if you're like, what happens is a lot of people, someone will lose their job and they've had this sideline interests in artwork or photography or music or whatever, and they think, oh, well, this is a great opportunity for me to, start making money with this thing. But there's sort of a sense of desperation because of their employment status, or maybe there's not a lot saved in the bank, and so the focus is on, I got to make money from this right now. And I've been in that situation a lot over the years, and I can tell you it's sometimes a very frustrating one. So as if you have to make money with it now, that's all that you're focused on, and the making a difference part takes a back seat. So ideally, you want to be in a situation where your financial needs are met and you're focused on making a difference with your art, leaving a legacy, not just putting out some cool stuff in the world, but really impacting people's lives in a meaningful way. Again, I'll use a self-reference here with my books, with my resources. When I'm speaking at conferences, my mission is to inspire people, to empower them, to make them aware of the gifts and the power that they have that they often don't give themselves credit for. And when I stay focused on that, a lot of the the money-making aspects of it sort of come up as a byproduct. Not that there's not effort and certainly quite a lot of energy that you have to put into the sales aspect of it. You have to get comfortable with asking for the sale and making offers and all that good stuff. But if you stay primarily focused on the mission and making a difference, it's going to help you out, in my opinion, a lot better. Question number 3 on the list is, how will the world be different when you've succeeded? That's another cool question that kind of ties into the previous one. Whatever you're doing, kind of visualize what the world will be like. What is the end result that you're after? It could be that you want to put a book out about the environment and encourage people to use natural resources instead of oil. If that was your goal, to put out a book on this topic and to educate people and inspire them, then how would the world be different? Obviously, You could visualize that. What is your end goal? Even if it's just putting out music that makes people have more fun at parties or makes them smile or dance. It doesn't have to be a big, solve world hunger. It doesn't have to be your ultimate goal. It can be something as simple as adding a little entertainment to people's lives. So whatever your endeavor is, visualize the end result. What does it look like when people are enjoying and benefiting from it? And how will the world be different? What kind of change will you make with this creative thing that you're doing? Another question here, it's a good one. Is it more important to add new customers or to increase your interaction with existing ones? Another great one. In fact, I keep running across blog posts about this. So this is kind of a reoccurring theme that I've run into. And it's something that you really need to think about. As a lot of people are just concerned with bigger is better, especially if you're leaning toward the old paradigm of the hit world where, you're in the consciousness of a lot of people. You think in terms of thousands, millions of people need to know about you to be successful. And if that's your mindset, whether you're aware of it or not, you may be driven to just, get more and more and more and more fans, more and more people on your mailing list, which is cool. I mean, you should aspire to reach as many people as possible. However, you might be shooting yourself in the foot by not interacting with and establishing bonds with the people that are currently in your sphere. If they're already aware of you, they're coming to your shows or they're supporting you in some way. And so actually, since we live in a world of niches now instead of hits, it's a world of niches where you're serving smaller groups of people, but you're serving them well. It might be more effective for you to at least put as much effort into interacting with your existing customers, your existing fans, as opposed to always be focusing on more new fans, new customers. I'm not going to get to all 16 questions in this short podcast, so I'm going to skip around a little bit, jump to number 7. That question is, are you prepared to actively sell your stuff, or are you expecting that buyers will walk in the door and ask for it? Boy, from a marketing perspective, this is a crucial question to ask. Are you prepared to be fully immersed in the sales process and asking for the sale and describing it in ways that will inspire people to buy? Or do you think if you just make the better mousetrap that people will beat a path to your door? Now, there are some times when people who aren't marketing savvy, they just create something that's so remarkable, so incredible that a few people hear it, they tell their friends, and then a snowball effect takes place, and then people are pursuing you. That can happen if what you create is incredibly remarkable to where it's something that an idea that is worth spreading. However, most people have to do a little bit of work, and sometimes an awful lot of work on the selling and the marketing and the creating awareness aspect of things. So are you prepared to get over this hump of marketing is evil, it's a drudgery, it's a chore, and embrace it and make it a part of what you do? Or are you just expecting people to walk through the door? Because quite often they won't, unless you do a little work up front to make that happen. The next one, which do you want to do? Invent a category or just be like other people in your field, but better? Let's take something like wedding photography. I know a lot of photographers, this is a big thing because there are always people getting married. There's always a need for wedding photographers. So you could just be another wedding photographer, but be very good at what you do. And quite often when you do something that's like a commodity like that, if you just show up, if you're dependable and people know that you'll be there, that in itself can set you apart in a world where a lot of people who are unreliable. So that's one way. You can do that with your music, with your books, with your film, whatever. Be similar to many other people in your field, but just do it better. And show up. However, there's another way where you invent a category. You do something that's totally unique. You're not comparing yourself to everyone else. I often use the example of Billy Blanks. He's the Tybo guy. And when he first came out, there was already a lot of people in the the aerobics and the stair stepping and the physical fitness video field. But he created a whole new category by combining a couple of different disciplines and a new name for a category. So he's the Tybo King now. So I think that's the better way to go. However, a lot of people have succeeded by just being really good at doing something that's more common. But you have to ask that question of yourself. Are you willing to invent a category and take the steps necessary to get it to gain traction with the market? Or you just want to be like everyone else? Your call. Question number 9 is an interesting one too. If you take someone else's investment, are you prepared to sell out to pay it back? I hear this a lot. I've gone through phases in my life where I said, I want to do something. Boy, if I only had money. A lot of people use money as an excuse. So they think, boy, if only I had X number of funds, then I could really make this happen. But I found more often than not that anything that's worth doing is worth doing and can be done without much and with hardly any money. When I started in the mid-90s online promoting my music marketing message, long before I could make a living doing it, I had no money to invest. So I just invested sweat equity. I knew the internet was free. And so that's the path that I took. But are you stuck in this, I need money, I need an investor? And if so, just think about the things that come along with that, the investor's involvement. There's pressure there to pay them back. If you end up struggling, they're going to want to maybe have more of an influence on what you do and how you do it so that they don't completely lose out on their money. So it's just another thing to think about and ask yourself as you're pursuing a creative career. Lots of great questions here. Another one, number 11, is you need to choose between two things. Are you going to teach and lead and challenge your customers, or just do what they ask? I know when I've have conversations with friends of mine who are like designers or maybe service providers or consultants, a lot of times they get trapped with customers who just tell them what they want and the person delivers it. Sometimes they'll try to create a design that has flair and they put their personality into it and the customer waters it down or changes it and you end up just being a service provider for whatever people want. And that, again, if that works for you, you can make a good living doing that. A lot of people do. However, some creative people have made more of a difference by determining what it is that they want to offer the market, and they teach people about it. They become leaders in that particular field. They challenge their customers, and so they basically turn down a lot of work with people that aren't in alignment with their values and with their creativity. And so again, it's a different way of looking at it. So many good questions here. How long can you wait before it feels as though you're succeeding? That's a good one. Another one is perfect important? Do you feel the need to fail privately, not in public? Or can you make mistakes in public and learn from them and move on? A lot of people are really held back by the perfection curse and what people are going to think if they don't do it right the first time. Luckily, I've never had that affliction. Another one, do you want your customers to know each other like a tribe and communicate with each other? Or is it better that they be anonymous and separate? So that will affect how much social networking and communication community that you create. Seth ends this post by writing, in my experience, people skip all of these questions and instead ask, what can I do that will be sure to work? That's what everybody wants. They want the shortcut. They want to avoid failure. And he says the problem, of course, is that there is no sure, and even worse, that you and I have no agreement at all on what it means for something to work. So what works for one person may seem like failure to another. And, there is no sure thing. You just have to get out there. The main thing that I preach for years is just to have an idea, act on it, get it out in the world in some manner, start sharing it with people. As you get feedback from the people that are experiencing it, it will help you shape how you pursue it in the future. Not that you water it down based on everyone who has a criticism about it, but you see how it reacts and maybe you realize, this thing that I want to do actually appeals to this type of person, so this is who I need to focus on. If I tweak it this way a little bit, which is still in alignment with who I am as an artist, then maybe it'll be even more appealing. Everybody wants the sure thing. They want to know how it's going to unfold before it actually happens, and that's not the way the world works in this reality that I live in. So just get it out there, see what happens. Don't be afraid to make a little bit of a fool of yourself, and just have some fun, be lighthearted about it, but mainly tap into that passion, tap into that difference that you want to make and get your art out there. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this. And more importantly, I hope you will take these ideas and incorporate them into your creative life. Take these ideas and act on them so that you really can make an impact and perhaps even make a living with your art. I'm Bob Baker saying so long for now.